Hi, good afternoon. I'm Janet and this is Janet's Corner. Today we're going to talk about drawing the figure and drawing it in proportion to the surroundings. Last week we drew arches, well actually one arch, and then I finished this up afterward. We didn't have enough time during video time, and let's see, I added some more figures. We finished off the arch. Here I put up a series of arches, and notice that the top of the arches and the bottom of the arches, they line up, both lines will end up at a vanishing point over here. And then the entrance, as you enter the arch, this area here, for it to go back the other way, it needs to go to a vanishing point on the opposite side of the horizon. And notice how the horizon cuts through all the figures about the same height. And over here, let's see, we have the largest figure put in first, and then a few smaller figures. And as they get smaller and move back in space, their footing is going to be a little bit higher up on the paper. And one's way in the distance. Their heads are still going to align with my largest figure, but they're going to be a lot smaller, and their footing's going to be a lot further up from the bottom of the page. Last week, let's see, we talked, okay, the arches. And of course I put some little guys up on top of the bridge up here. Very, very small, they're very far away. And today, getting the figure in proportion, you have to get rid of some of this stuff. I thought I would just show you that. I'll wipe this down real fast. And drawing a figure, it's a good idea to do several sketches if you're out at the park doing, let's see, sketching figures, sitting down on a bench, walking, and if, let's see, that doesn't work out in a park, let's see, video stills. That's one of my favorites. And then I get to enjoy a movie that I want to watch. Also pull figures from it. Some of the scenes you can, if you're, a DVD player or Netflix, something like that, where you can put it on pause for about 2 or 3 minutes. Do a 2 or 3 minute sketch. Let's see, with the figure, I can either start out with just sketching a mass, scrumbling. And I'm gonna, once I start scrumbling, we're gonna go up here. I'm gonna look at my figure more so than what I'm drawing. I'm gonna be looking at my figure, and as my eye moves throughout the figure, my dry erase is going to do the same thing on the whiteboard. I'm going to start out the head, shoulders, come down, arm, over here, arm, bring a leg in, another leg, and keep building up on the mass, till you get and I'm looking at my figure over here mostly, as I'm building up a mass of lines. And it looks like a scribble. And it gives you, by doing this, you're becoming familiar with the figure and the mass the mass of the figure. Here I can also build the figure, let's see, a stick figure, and then build out from the stick figure. The head, come down here. Of course, we got the hips, and then we got the arms coming out. out. And I'm gonna stick with the guy in the blue right here. Of course, we got this leg here going back in space, and the weight is on the front leg. And put the feet in, get my stick figure, and then start building out from the figure. I can build out from it. And then come back up here and build out. And of course the toe, this toe, I'm gonna push it back since that foot is lifted up off the ground. Now we're gonna get a shirt in. And these are just quick sketches to get familiar with the figure. And the hand is foreshortened, so I'm gonna put a circle for the hand, because we're not gonna spend a whole lot of time drawing the hands, the feet, and the face right now. I'm gonna provide a general idea of the face by putting a vertical through the center of the face, and then a horizontal where the eyes sit, another horizontal where the nose is gonna sit, and another horizontal where the mouth is gonna sit. That's about it. And keep building out from the keep building up the figure. And that's another way to build up a figure. A third way was shapes. Everything's shapes. I'm gonna have the head as a shape, and the torso. And adding shapes, putting shapes together. And there's the other foot. Get an arm, and I'm just adding shapes, and the hand is foreshortened over here. We'll talk about foreshortening next week. And then, of course, the hand lines up below the hip, but he has his arm back, so the hand is pretty much lined up with his hip here. Actually, whenever you look at a person head on, face on, your hands are gonna be a little bit below the hips. Okay, proportion of the figure. His head's a little bit big. Proportionately, I like to go with about 7.5 heads high. Up here I have 8 heads high. This guy is an Amazon, let's see, that's a woman. And up here for the proportions, all these are about 8 heads high. And then the four heads down, being the center, it runs through the hips. From here, the hips here, up is about the same height, generally speaking, from the hips down to the feet. So the hips are pretty much the halfway mark. And okay, I want to put a figure in a landscape, maybe pull one of these figures out and put it in a different landscape. And I've done a lot of that with the different landscape. As you can see over here, I got a bunch of arches. I can pull one of these figures out and put them over here in this landscape. I can do another one. Okay. And to block out the area in which the figure where the figure is, I'm going to choose this guy again, and notice he fits in this frame of reference. And this frame is, okay, about 2.5 inches wide. Okay, I'm going to measure up proportionally 1 to a little bit greater than 2. So we're going to put him right about here. So we know that he'll fit right here. 1, 2, a little bit taller. So his head's gonna be, let's make it, put his feet way down here so that we can shorten it up here. We can put whatever we want in the background, a fence. And maybe a house in the background. That looks more like an outhouse. But we already know that he's gonna be proportional to this rectangle. Put his head in and hips. I'm gonna measure as I go. And sketching the figure in first and then go back in and measure your proportions. And I'm just sketching the figure in. This way I can build out from my stick figure. And there. And he's walking. And a walking figure, the way that one hip's gonna be higher than the other. Walking, whichever leg is supporting the figure, it's gonna be higher. I'm resting on my right leg, so this my hip over here is going to be higher up than this hip. And to counter it, you want the shoulders to be just the opposite. Right here, this is high. This shoulder, I'm going to drop down a little bit, and hence I appear like I'm resting. Walking, of course your weight's going to be on one leg or the other. And that's why it's good to go to a park and do quick sketches of people walking, sitting, getting familiar with the figure, the proportions, and sketching quickly, because later on you can take those sketches and develop them into drawings, paintings, placing the figure in a painting. And up here we'll go ahead and finish up his torso. Okay, I forgot, men have narrow hips, much more narrow hips. And his shirt, we're gonna narrow down and it looks like a bunch of lines right now. And then once I start cleaning it up, I want to keep my old lines and make my adjustments before I erase my old lines. I want to put in my adjustments before erasing the older lines. That's what I'm trying to say. And of course the hand is foreshortened, so I'm just gonna put a circle there for his hand. And then later on I can divide it up into fingers, trim it down, but starting out with just simple shapes. And then this hand is down here, and of course his sleeve, and I'm going to add a shirt, and around here, and set his head down into his shoulders. And as I'm finishing as I'm getting a general idea, I'm going to go back in and measure my proportions, make sure that I have my figure proportional. Right here, the hips to the head, right there, oh, right there, right there. Yeah, I can shorten this leg a little bit. And then bring this one up a little bit, because it's lifting off the ground. And then get rid of the box. And I can always draw in whatever I want in the background. I can ground. I really don't like coming right off the edge. And also, if I have a lot of negative space that there's not much going on, I can always trim that off. Say there's not much going on over here, I don't want to center him like this, probably something like that. Get rid of this line here. Okay, now we got a composition to work with and keep developing it. And next week we'll talk more about foreshortening. It looks like that I've ran over minutes here, and thank you so much for joining me and sticking with me. And let's see, a few more weeks. Oh yes, we'll talk about color. What else? Compositions, this type of composition, this would be more like an L composition, the figure here and then the grass there, an L composition. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you Maria and Arsenio and everybody here at Los Volcanes Senior Center, and see you later. Thank you, bye-bye.